Hi, Brenton here. Welcome to Feedback Friday. In today's episode, we're looking at it just from this side view. Now, the first thing that you'll notice is there's a lack of rotation through the torso and the hips. And what that's leading to is it's making it quite difficult to come over the top in the recovery in an open and relaxed way. So the very first thing I'd look to do here is primarily just working on a little bit more rotation through the shoulders and the torso, and particularly the hips as well. Now, one of the things that I like to aim for in the stroke for most people is picture you've got people standing on the side of the pool when you're swimming, and as your arm comes over the top in the recovery phase here, so when the arm comes over the top, you want to open up through the underarm. You somewhat want to show them that underarm as you're coming over the top. That way you can come over freely and relaxed, whereas if you're not doing that, and you can sort of see it here, is the underarm isn't sort of exposed there, it's quite low, as you can see through that one too. When that happens, it makes it quite difficult to come over in a very relaxed and comfortable way. So that's why we want to rotate side to side. Now, obviously there's nuances to it. You don't want to over rotate, but you definitely need, I sort of aim for 40 degrees, give or take a little bit here and there. So that'd be the first thing. We look to just rotate a little bit more side to side. Now, partly related to that is the extension. So if you look at this hand entry, that's good. Fingers first, elbows up. I like how that's looking. Now she's extending here, but just notice where that hand goes, straight down to the bottom of the pool. So it's just missing that extension or that reach phase in the stroke. So it's something that I see quite commonly in clinics and when I'm coaching people through our online membership, is that it's counterintuitive to think that you should actually extend forwards with the hand, actually reaching forwards before you pull through. You would think it would be faster to just pull straight through. But the thing is, this phase of the stroke, right about here, this is actually the fastest point in your stroke. And the reason for that is that you're in the most streamlined, you're creating the least amount of drag in this position right here. So if you spend that little bit of time reaching forwards with one hand, pressing back with the other, that's actually the fastest point in the stroke. Now, the slowest point in the stroke is sort of as you're moving through here when you've got the most amount of drag. Now, obviously that's a relevant part of the stroke. You need to go through it, but you need to also make sure that you make the most of that fastest point in the stroke. And you can just see on this side here, how the hand comes in and just kind of goes straight down to the bottom of the pool. So she's not maximizing the time spent when she's reaching forwards and pressing back there. So sort of those things will work together to help get that bit more rotation. So what I'd look to do there is just spend a bit more time reaching forwards with the hand kind of out in front of the shoulder, and that will also give her a bit more time to then get on the side and rotate a little bit more. Now, a good drill that you could use for that is two-stroke switch with paddle. You can have a look at that video now. This is a drill where you just kick on the side. You'll have a paddle on one hand. You can also put fins on for this. The other hand will be by your side. And you just go through a couple of kicks with that paddle hand out in front, and then I'd get you to take two strokes. Now, the reason this is quite a good drill to help get familiar or get comfortable keeping the hand and the arm out in front in that extension phase is you can sort of set yourself up in a way with this drill where you get the feeling and the sensation of being balanced on one side with one arm extended. Then you take your two strokes, you get back to that position. That's going to give a really good awareness around being comfortable with keeping that hand out in front and just feeling the position of keeping the hand at about shoulder depth there. So that's one drill that can really help with that. Another drill is just a basic side kicking drill where you're kicking on the side and you're just sort of finding the right amount of rotation there, and again just getting comfortable keeping that hand out in front. That's a drill we use a lot in clinics, and I use for a lot of swimmers in our membership as well, depending on what they need to work on. So that will be probably one of the first things that we'd look to do is just look at getting that little bit more rotation and finding that kind of starting catch position out in front here instead of going straight down deep into the stroke. Now, another thing that you'll notice mostly on this right side is this exit of the hand. So if you look here, see how the arm is quite bent, or the elbow is quite bent through this exit of the hand. And it exits that way where it's really sort of coming upwards towards the hip instead of pressing back past the hip. So she's probably just finishing a little bit short with that right hand. I'd look to press back another 10 to 20 centimeters further than what she is to help just get that hand exiting the water properly and give her that last 10 to 20% of the stroke. She's just exiting a little bit short, which is also causing her to probably pull through that a little bit too soon on this hand. And you can sort of see it here, that position right now, there's no hands out in front of the head. We always want to try and keep at least one hand somewhere out in front of the head for stability and timing of the stroke there. So that's another thing that will certainly help. You can see with the left hand, that exits a bit better. Let's just bring it back a stroke before she comes into the wall there. Yeah, this one does exit a bit further back, which is good, but you can see that she's actually straightened the arm just a little bit too much there. So the arm is almost fully extended, and that can also cause you to get stuck. You do want a little bit of bend through the elbow here, just as you're exiting, so that you don't sort of be at full extension and you get caught out the back there. And there's a drill that I'd use for that. I like tricep extension drill to help work on that back end of the stroke. That's a great drill just to get familiar with exiting in the right position. Now you'll also see when she's taking that breath that hand, we've sort of looked at that hand going too deep, but you can see right here as she's breathing, there's nothing out in front to give her support. So it's ideal to keep that hand out in front that little bit longer to give you something to balance on, which can help you get the breath more comfortably. Now you can see she's getting quite a low breath there, which is good, but it will certainly help if she can keep that arm out in front just a little bit longer. So there's just a couple things that I'd start with. Normally I'd recommend working on that stuff for between 3 to 6 weeks and going through something like 425s of each of those drills in her warm-up, and then just keeping those 3 points in the back of her mind as she's training for the next 3 to 6 weeks. And then normally, with swimmers in the membership, they'll send in another video after about 4 weeks time. We'll just check in with the progress and see how they're going. So that's normally a pretty good time frame to then follow up and go from there. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe below, leave a comment of anything that you'd like to me to look at in more detail, whether it's breathing, whether it's cadence, anything that you feel would help you in your swimming, and I'll make a video on it in the next couple of weeks. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.